What if I told you that 2026 is already decided? And the only question is whether you're finally going to take control of it or let it crush you like every other year before. Be honest with yourself. How many times have you promised that next year will be different? How many times did you feel fired up for a few weeks only to fall right back into comfort, excuses, and weakness? The truth is brutal, but it's simple. Years don't change people. Decisions do. 2026 doesn't care about your wishes. It doesn't care about your excuses. It doesn't care that life was unfair to you. The calendar will flip whether you're ready or not. The question is, when it does, will you still be the same person making the same mistakes, or will you finally become someone dangerous to mediocrity? Most people think motivation is the answer. They wait to feel inspired. They wait for the perfect mood, the perfect time, the perfect conditions. That's why they lose. Winners don't wait to feel ready. They move while it's uncomfortable. They act while it's boring. They work while everyone else is sleeping, scrolling, complaining, and coping. You want 2026 to be your best year. You need to understand something most people refuse to accept. Discipline beats motivation every single time. Motivation fades. Discipline shows up. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is a system. And systems win wars. Read books like Atomic Habits or The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, and you'll see the same truth repeated in different words. Your life is nothing more than the result of what you do every day. Not once in a while, not when you feel like it. Every day. You don't need a miracle. You need standards. You need rules for yourself that you refuse to break. Wake up early. Train your body even when it hurts. Learn a valuable skill. Protect your time like it's your last dollar. Cut off distractions without mercy. Comfort is the most expensive drug on earth, and most people are addicts. Let me ask you something uncomfortable. If someone watched your daily routine, would they believe you're serious about winning? Or would they see someone who talks big but lives small? Because your habits are always telling the truth, even when your mouth lies. Pain is coming either way. That's the part nobody escapes. The pain of discipline or the pain of regret. Choose wisely. One makes you stronger. The other makes you bitter. When you start seeing pain as training instead of punishment, everything changes. Pressure doesn't break winners. It reveals them. You want confidence? Earn it. You want respect? Build it. You want freedom? Pay the price. There is no shortcut, no hack, no secret phrase. The secret is doing what you already know you should do again and again without applause. 2026 is not about doing more. It's about doing less, better, less wasting time, less weak people in your circle, less excuses, less noise. Lock in on what actually moves your life forward and attack it daily like your future depends on it. Because it does. There will be days you feel tired. Good. There will be days you feel alone. Good. That's where growth lives. That's where most people quit, and that's exactly why you shouldn't. Every day you don't quit, you separate yourself from the crowd. Stop asking if it's worth it. Stop asking how long it will take. Stop looking for validation. Lock in. Execute. Repeat. Success loves consistency, not talk. Imagine reaching the end of 2026 knowing you kept every promise you made to yourself. Stronger body, sharper mind, more money, more control, more self-respect. That feeling is available to you, but it's expensive. And the price is paid daily, so decide right now. Not tomorrow, not next week, right now. Will 2026 be another year you survived or the year you dominated? Because once you lock in, there's no going back. Most people don't fail their New Year goals because they're incapable, unlucky, or cursed. They fail because they lie to themselves about what change actually requires. Every January, the same cycle repeats. Big promises, big emotions, big talk. And then reality shows up. Early mornings hurt. Discipline feels boring. Results don't come fast enough, so people quietly return to their old habits and pretend the goal was unrealistic in the first place. That's not failure by accident, that's failure by design. The first trap is emotional goal setting. People decide their future while they're excited, not while they're thinking clearly. They set goals based on how they want to feel, not what they're willing to do daily. They say they want to be rich, fit, focused, disciplined, but they never define the boring actions required to get there. Wanting a result without committing to the process is like wanting muscles without ever lifting weight. It sounds good, but it's fantasy. Another reason people fail is they treat the new year like a reset button instead of a continuation. January 1st doesn't erase who you were on December 31st. Your habits, weaknesses, and patterns don't magically disappear if you were undisciplined before. You'll stay undisciplined unless you actively build structure. Real change doesn't come from motivation. It comes from systems, fixed wake-up times, non-negotiable training, scheduled work blocks, clear rules for how you live when nobody is watching. People also underestimate how uncomfortable growth feels. They think something is wrong when it gets hard. They believe resistance means they're on the wrong path. In reality, resistance is the signal you're doing the right thing. Every worthwhile goal comes with boredom, doubt, fatigue, and temptation. The ones who win aren't special. They simply don't panic when discomfort shows up. They expect it. Another deadly mistake is trying to change everything at once. People go from zero discipline to extreme intensity overnight. New diet, new routine, new goals, new identity. That doesn't build consistency. It burns people out. Sustainable progress comes from controlled aggression, fewer promises, stronger execution. 1 or 2 habits done perfectly beat 10 habits done inconsistently. Accountability is another missing piece. Most people rely on feelings to stay on track. Feelings are unreliable. Winners rely on standards. They decide in advance what they will do regardless of mood. They track their actions. They measure effort. They don't negotiate with weakness. If it's scheduled, it gets done. Finally, people fail because they secretly keep the door open to quit. They say, "I'll try," instead of "I will." Trying leaves room for excuses. Commitment closes the door. When you remove the option to quit, your brain looks for solutions instead of escape routes. That mental shift alone separates winners from talkers. If you want to avoid the New Year failure trap, stop chasing inspiration and start building structure. Stop romanticizing change and start respecting repetition. Decide who you are becoming, then prove it with actions so consistent they leave no room for doubt. Motivation is one of the most overrated ideas ever sold to people who want success. It feels good, it sounds powerful, and it gives the illusion of progress without requiring real effort. Motivation is emotional energy, and emotions are unstable. They rise when something is new and exciting, and they disappear the moment work becomes repetitive, uncomfortable, or slow. That's why relying on motivation is a guaranteed way to lose in 2026. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't ask if you're tired, bored, stressed, or uninspired. Discipline is simply the ability to do what needs to be done, even when every part of you wants to avoid it. That's why discipline always beats motivation. One is temporary, the other is permanent, when built correctly. Most people wait for motivation before they act. Disciplined people act first, and motivation sometimes follows. When you train your body, even on days you don't feel like it, confidence grows. When you work on your goals without needing excitement, self-respect increases. When you keep promises to yourself, your identity starts to change. You stop seeing yourself as someone who tries and start seeing yourself as someone who executes. Discipline is not about being extreme. It's about being consistent, waking up at the same time every day, doing the work whether the results are visible or not, saying no to distractions that feel harmless but steal hours of your life. Discipline is quiet. No one claps for it. No one sees most of it. That's why weak people avoid it and strong people embrace it. Motivation wants fast results. Discipline understands delayed rewards. Motivation quits when progress is slow. Discipline keeps going because it already decided. This is where most people break. They expect visible success too quickly. When it doesn't show up, they assume it's not working. Discipline understands that progress compounds invisibly before it becomes obvious. Think about it. Nobody becomes strong from one workout. Nobody becomes rich from one good decision. Nobody becomes focused from one productive day. It's the accumulation of small, disciplined actions over time that creates transformation. Books like Deep Work and The Power of Habit all point to the same truth. What you do daily matters more than what you do occasionally. Discipline also removes decision fatigue. When your routine is locked in, you don't waste mental energy deciding whether to work or not. You already know the answer. This is powerful because most failure comes from constant internal negotiation. Should I rest today? Should I skip this? I'll do it tomorrow. Discipline eliminates those conversations. The strongest people aren't the most motivated. They're the most structured. They build systems that force them to show up. They design their environment to support focus, not temptation. They don't trust willpower. They trust habits. In 2026, motivation will come and go like it always does. Discipline is what will still be there on the days when nothing feels exciting, nothing feels rewarding, and nobody is watching. Because discipline was never about feeling good. It was about becoming someone who does not break under pressure. Most people spend their entire lives trying to escape pain, boredom, and pressure, not realizing those three things are the raw materials of greatness. They think something is wrong when life feels heavy. They assume discomfort means they're failing. In reality, discomfort is proof you're being forged. The world doesn't reward comfort. It rewards those who can endure what others avoid. Pain is not your enemy. Pain is information. It tells you where you're weak, where you're unprepared, where you need to grow. Weak people feel pain and retreat. Strong people feel pain and lean in. Every time you train when your body wants to quit, every time you work while your mind is begging for distraction, you're teaching yourself a powerful lesson. You are in control, not your feelings. Boredom is even more dangerous than pain. Pain at least gets your attention. Boredom quietly kills ambition. Boredom is the reason people scroll, snack, procrastinate, and waste years. The truth is, success is repetitive. It's doing the same right things again and again with no excitement attached. If you can't tolerate boredom, you'll never build anything meaningful. Masters are not born from excitement. They're built in silence. Pressure is the final test. Pressure exposes who you really are. When expectations rise, when time is limited, when the stakes are high, most people crack. They panic. They overthink. They look for exits. Winners sharpen. Pressure forces focus. It strips away nonsense. It demands precision. That's why pressure is a privilege. It means you're playing a game that matters. The mistake people make is trying to eliminate these forces instead of using them. They want an easy path, a smooth journey, a stress-free life. That path doesn't lead anywhere worth going. Growth requires friction. Diamonds don't form without pressure. Strength doesn't come without resistance. Confidence doesn't exist without challenges conquered. When pain hits, don't complain. Ask what it's training you for. When boredom shows up, don't escape, outlast it. When pressure mounts, don't fold. Focus harder. This mental shift changes everything. Instead of seeing hardship as punishment, you start seeing it as preparation. Books like Man's Search for Meaning show that meaning is created through struggle, not comfort. Humans are built to overcome. Take that away, and people collapse mentally. Give someone a challenge, and they either rise or reveal their weakness. That's why hard times don't destroy strong people. They create them. Every day you endure what others avoid, you gain an edge. While others seek pleasure, you build power. While others numb themselves, you sharpen yourself. While others break under pressure, you become calm. That calmness becomes confidence. That confidence becomes dominance. Stop wishing it was easier. Stop asking for less resistance. Ask for more strength. Ask for more discipline. Ask for the ability to stay locked in when everything inside you wants comfort. Because the people who win in life aren't the ones with the easiest path. They're the ones who learned how to turn pain, boredom, and pressure into fuel and used it to move forward when everyone else stopped. Distractions and weak habits don't look dangerous at first. That's why they work so well. They come disguised as comfort, entertainment, harmless breaks, and just this once. A few minutes on your phone, one skipped workout, one late night, one more episode. None of it feels like failure in the moment, but compounded over months and years. These small acts of weakness quietly steal your future. Most people think their biggest enemy is lack of opportunity. It's not. It's lack of focus. The modern world is designed to fracture your attention. Notifications, endless content, cheap dopamine, and constant noise keep you busy but unproductive. You feel occupied but accomplish nothing meaningful. And the worst part is, you get used to it. Chaos becomes normal. Distraction becomes your default state. Weak habits form when you repeatedly choose what's easy over what's necessary. You train your brain to seek comfort instead of progress. Over time, discipline feels unnatural and avoidance feels normal. This is how potential dies quietly, without drama, without warning. Not from one bad decision, but from thousands of small, lazy ones. If you want 2026 to be different, you must become ruthless with what you allow into your life. Not aggressive, ruthless. That means cutting distractions even when they're popular, even when everyone else says it's normal. You don't need constant entertainment. You don't need to know everything happening online. You don't need opinions from people who aren't living the life you want. Look at your habits honestly, how you start your mornings, how you spend your evenings, what you do when you're tired, what you reach for when things get uncomfortable. These moments reveal who's in control, you or your impulses. Weak habits always show up when discipline is required. That's why they're dangerous. Books like Digital Minimalism make one thing clear. Focus is not found, it's protected. You must design your environment to support strength, not temptation. If your phone controls you, you're not free. If your routine collapses the moment you feel stress, it was never strong to begin with. Cutting distractions isn't about becoming boring. It's about becoming powerful. When you remove noise, clarity appears. When you reduce options, execution improves. When you eliminate weak habits, energy returns. Focus sharpens. Confidence grows because you know you're no longer lying to yourself. Most people avoid this step because it's uncomfortable. It forces you to face silence. It forces you to sit with your thoughts. It forces you to confront the gap between who you are and who you could be. Distraction is a coping mechanism. Remove it, and reality shows up. That's where growth begins. You don't need more time, you need fewer leaks. Every distraction you cut is time returned to your future. Every weak habit you eliminate creates space for a stronger one. This is not about perfection, it's about alignment. Your daily actions must match your long-term goals. When you strip your life down to what truly matters, progress accelerates. Momentum builds. You stop feeling scattered and start feeling dangerous in a quiet way. And once you experience that level of focus, going back to distraction feels like weakness because you finally understand that nothing steals your future faster than habits you refuse to confront. Most people don't fail because they lack ambition. They fail because their days are chaotic. No structure, no rhythm, no non-negotiables. They wake up reacting instead of leading. They let the world decide how their me is spent, then wonder why nothing changes. A strong future is built inside a strong day. And if your days are weak, your year will be weak too. A ruthless daily routine is not about being busy. It's about being intentional. It's deciding in advance how your energy, focus, and time will be used before distractions get a vote. When you control your mornings, you control your life. The first hours of the day set the tone. If you start in laziness, everything that follows is uphill. If you start with discipline, momentum carries you forward. Your routine should include things that make you uncomfortable. Physical training, focused work, learning, silence. These are not optional extras. They are the foundation. Training your body builds mental toughness. Focused work builds competence. Learning builds leverage. Silence builds clarity. Skip these consistently, and you slowly become softer, weaker, more reactive. Most people overcomplicate routines. They design perfect schedules they never follow. Simplicity wins. Fixed wake-up time, a clear work block, a set time to train, a cutoff point for distractions. The power isn't in complexity, it's in consistency. A simple routine executed every day will outperform a perfect routine executed once a week. Compounding is the real secret. One disciplined day doesn't change your life. 100 disciplined days do. Results stack quietly, strength builds, skills sharpen, confidence grows. And one day you realize you're operating on a level that used to feel impossible. That's compounding in action. It's invisible at first, then unstoppable. Books like The Compound Effect explain this clearly. Small actions, repeated daily, create massive results over time. The problem is most people quit before the results become obvious. They want proof before commitment. Winners commit before proof. They trust the process because they understand how growth works. A ruthless routine also removes decision-making. You don't ask yourself whether to train. You already decided. You don't debate whether to work. It's scheduled. This is powerful because indecision drains energy. Discipline preserves it. When your day is structured, your mind becomes calm and focused. This level of structure scares people because it feels restrictive. In reality, it creates freedom. When your responsibilities are handled early, the rest of the day feels lighter. When you know you're making progress daily, stress decreases. When you respect your routine, you respect yourself. Your routine doesn't need to impress anyone. It needs to work. No social media validation. No dramatic announcements. Just quiet execution. Day after day. Week after week. That's how ordinary people become extraordinary without noise. If you want 2026 to compound in your favor, stop hoping for better days and start designing stronger ones, because the life you want is built in the daily decisions you make when nobody is watching, and consistency turns effort into inevitability. Most people quit long before they fail. They quit mentally. They quit the moment things don't feel fair, fast, or rewarding. They tell themselves stories to feel better about stopping. I'll come back to this later. Now isn't the right time. I deserve a break. That's not logic. That's weakness negotiating for control. If you want 2026 to be different, you need a mindset that does not quit when it gets hard, boring, lonely, or uncomfortable. A winner's mindset is not about positive thinking. It's about non-negotiable commitment. It's deciding in advance that quitting is not an option, regardless of emotion. Emotion is temporary. Identity is permanent. When you decide who you are, your actions follow. You stop asking how you feel and start asking what must be done. That shift alone separates leaders from followers. Most people rely on confidence to act. Winners act to build confidence. Confidence is not something you wait for. It's something you earn by keeping promises to yourself. Every time you do what you said you would do, especially when it's hard, your self-belief grows. Every time you quit, it shrinks. This is why discipline and mindset are inseparable. Your mind believes what your actions repeatedly prove. A strong mindset also understands that setbacks are part of the process, not signs to stop. Losses, slow progress, mistakes, and criticism are not indicators of failure. They are tuition fees. People with weak minds personalize setbacks. They think, this means I'm not good enough. Strong minds analyze setbacks. They think, what does this teach me? One mindset collapses. The other adapts. Read books like Mindset or Can't Hurt Me, and you'll see the same principle reinforced. Growth comes from stress. Strength comes from resistance. Mental toughness is built by doing difficult things voluntarily before life forces you to do them involuntarily. When you train your mind to stay calm under pressure, chaos loses its power over you. A winner's mindset also cuts emotional attachment to outcomes. You focus on effort, not guarantees. You control what you can control and let the rest play out. Most people suffer because they demand certainty before action. Winners act without certainty. They trust themselves to adapt no matter what happens. This mindset doesn't complain. Complaining gives weakness a voice. It doesn't seek sympathy. Sympathy creates comfort, and comfort kills hunger. It doesn't explain itself to people who don't understand the path. Silence, execution, and results speak louder than words ever could. There will be days in 2026 when you feel tired, frustrated, or alone. That's normal. What matters is what you do on those days. Weak minds look for relief. Strong minds look for progress. Even a small win on a bad day keeps momentum alive. Consistency beats intensity when intensity fades. The final truth is simple and brutal. Nobody is coming to save you. No one will care as much as you should. And that's not bad news, that's freedom. When you accept full responsibility, you gain full control. You stop waiting. You stop hoping. You start moving. Locking in a winner's mindset means deciding that no matter how slow the progress, how heavy the pressure, or how long the road, you will keep going, because the person who refuses to quit eventually becomes the person who cannot be stopped. So as the year turns and 2026 stands in front of you, understand this clearly: nothing magical is coming with it. No sudden motiva. Sion. No perfect moment. No external force that will change your life for you. What is coming is another chance to decide who you are and who you refuse to be anymore. You now know the truth most people avoid. Winning is built through discipline, structure, focus, and a mindset that doesn't quit. It's built in early mornings, hard days, boring routines, and silent consistency. It's built when nobody is watching and nobody is clapping. That's where real power comes from. You don't need to become someone else. You need to become relentless with the person you already are. Relentless with your standards, relentless with your time, relentless with your habits. Every day you stay locked in, you separate yourself further from the version of you that used to quit. 2026 will test you. It will push back. It will try to pull you into comfort and distraction like every year before it. The difference now is that you're no longer guessing. You know what works. You know what doesn't. And once you know, there are no more excuses. So when motivation fades, you rely on discipline. When things get boring, you rely on routine. When pressure rises, you rely on your mindset. One day at a time, one decision at a time. No drama, no negotiation, just execution. If you do that consistently, relentlessly, without giving yourself an escape route, then 2026 won't just be another year you live through. It will be the year you transformed, the year you proved to yourself who you really are, the year you locked in so completely that quitting was no longer part of your identity, and the year your future finally started to look inevitable.